Could the Israel-Gaza conflict be the catalyst of a generational schism in political views? Welcome to the exploration of an issue that's causing waves in the political landscape. We're going to delve into the generational divide on the Israel-Gaza conflict. The upcoming elections are looming large, and this conflict is playing a significant role in shaping political opinions, with Joe Biden and Donald Trump potentially going head-to-head once again. The views of Gen Z voters could have a profound impact. It's time to delve into the intricate differences between Gen Z and older generations' perspectives on this politically charged issue. The Gen Z perspective on the Israel-Gaza conflict is a departure from the traditional narrative. This generation, born into the digital age, is looking at the world through a new lens. Their views on global issues, including the Israel-Gaza conflict, are shaped not only by traditional news outlets, but also by the vast world of social media, where information is shared, dissected, and discussed in real time. When it comes to President Biden's handling of the Israel-Gaza conflict, this generation isn't pulling any punches. Many Gen Zs have taken to their social platforms to express their disappointment and criticism. They see a discrepancy between the administration's commitment to human rights and its response to the conflict. They question the administration's support for Israel, given the humanitarian crisis in Gaza. Now, these are not just sentiments echoed in a digital echo chamber. Recent surveys and polls substantiate this disconnect. A significant portion of young voters under the age of 30 disapprove of Biden's stance on the conflict. This disapproval is not just a blip on the radar, it's a signal of a more profound discord. Why this shift in perspective, you ask? Well, Gen Zs are not just passive consumers of news. They are active participants in the discussion, thanks to the democratization of information online. They question, debate, and form their own opinions. In essence, they are challenging the traditional narratives and looking for accountability in places that older generations might not have questioned. Social media has been instrumental in this shift. It has not only amplified their voices, but also exposed them to different perspectives, raw, unfiltered images and stories from the ground, which often contrast with the sanitized version of events presented by traditional media. This exposure has fostered empathy, leading to a call for a more balanced approach to the conflict. Gen Z's views on the conflict, influenced by a digital age of information, are challenging the status quo. They are not just asking for change, they are demanding it. This generation is pushing the boundaries of the conversation, and in doing so, they are reshaping how we perceive and respond to global conflicts. The older generations, on the other hand, have a different perspective, grounded in a historical context. Their viewpoints on the Israel-Gaza conflict have been forged by decades of political narratives, heavily influenced by traditional media outlets and long-standing political alliances. Their understanding of the conflict is often seen through the lens of the Cold War era, where alliances were clear-cut and the world was divided into ideological camps. This context has created a particular perspective that views Israel as a key ally in a volatile region, a viewpoint that aligns with President Biden's stance. The narrative of Israel as a democratic stronghold in the Middle East, surrounded by hostile neighbors, has been a potent factor in shaping these views. For the older generation, this narrative has been reinforced by years of media coverage and political discourse, leading to a deep-seated belief in the necessity of supporting Israel. Polls show that this belief is not just anecdotal. A significant portion of older voters support Biden's approach to the Israel-Gaza conflict. They see his stance as a continuation of a long-standing American policy, a policy they believe is crucial for maintaining regional stability. However, this support is not without its nuances. While they may agree with Biden's stance, there is a recognition that the situation is complex and that peace requires compromise from all parties involved. Yet, despite this recognition, their support for Biden's approach remains steadfast. In essence, these generations, having been shaped by a different era, hold a perspective that is largely influenced by traditional narratives and alliances. Their views on the conflict, while nuanced, align more with Biden's approach than that of the younger generation. The older generations, influenced by a different era, hold on to a more traditional viewpoint on the conflict. The divergent views between Gen Z and older generations on the Israel-Gaza conflict are creating a political chasm. This divide is not just ideological, but it's also reshaping the political landscape. Gen Z, with their fresh perspective, is challenging the traditional narratives. They are more likely to empathize with the plight of Palestinians and question American foreign policy. On the other hand, older generations, conditioned by decades of a certain narrative, tend to view the conflict through a different lens. This generational gap has significant implications, particularly as we approach the upcoming elections. The Biden administration's stance on the Israel-Gaza conflict is causing a rift within the Democratic Party, and notably with the younger demographic. Gen Z's disillusionment with the political status quo could lead to decreased engagement or shifts in party loyalty. Their views might even sway the undecided voters, potentially tipping the scales of the election. This generational divide, therefore, is not just a matter of differing opinions. It's a reflection of the changing attitudes that could redefine the political trajectory. As the generational divide on the Israel-Gaza conflict deepens, the question remains, how will this shape our political future?